Among those issues are some ballot initiatives, which are coming up to be voted on by the voters in November. The highlights there that we should all be aware of are, first, an attempt to correct a very broken Colorado property tax system. The current Colorado property tax system says at the most that the government can collect from residential property owners, apartments and homes, is 45% of total property tax revenues. That's something called the Gallagher Amendment. This legislation would try to stop that by getting the voters to approve the repeal of the Gallagher Amendment. If they can get that done, that would gradually permit the very high rates of property taxes paid by business owners to gradually, over a long number of years, shift to a more equal parity between business owners and residential property owners. Also, it has been proposed that Colorado expand its current controls under the Taxpayer Bill of Rights that are constitutional limits on how much governmental units can raise and spend. It would like to impose those limits on what are called enterprises, things like toll roads and toll bridges and hospitals and universities and other systems, which are governmental affiliated, but get their own money from users themselves as compared to taxpayers. The advocates for expanding this seek to say, no, we believe you're more like government, and therefore we want to impose requirements like getting voter approval for you to issue bonds on these types of organizations. It would impose a significant constraint on many business interests who are working in public-private joint ventures in the future. A piece of legislation which passed this year was an act which makes it much more difficult for insurers in the property and casualty arena to deny coverage to insureds when those insureds have failed to render assistance in defending claims. Insurers now have to go to a much greater length to avoid coverage if an insurer is not being cooperative with them in defending claims. In the manufacturing industry and in the utilities industry, there are now sanctions, and criminal and civil sanctions, and a duty to notify of releases for hydrogen cyanide, hydrogen sulfide, and benzene. And you have both a duty to notify the local governmental agencies and to now have a duty to notify locally affected residences by reverse 911 calls. Finally, Colorado has been at war in trying to resolve the oil and gas setback requirements and how to deal with that for drilling and fracking activities. And the Colorado Oil and Gas Commission right now is holding and trying to determine those setback requirements that, and it's up in the air whether those will be statewide setback requirements or whether local municipalities will still, as they do right now, have the ability to establish their own setback requirements. Of course, the oil and gas industry is intimately involved with this area, but the Oil and Gas Conservation Commission is right in the middle of those hearings right now.